What is going on? What is going on? Welcome to this week's episode 104 of the STS Guys. I am Jeremy.
Hey, it's Larry.
Hey guys, it's Nate.
And I'm Scott.
And this week we actually have a very, very special guest. May I call upon the goat versus fish?
Goat versus fish. Welcome to Goat versus Fish. Welcome to Goat versus Fish. I am Goat versus Fish, the goat fish. You have summoned Goat versus Fish.
Yes.
Yes, it is Goat versus Fish. You can see Goat versus. I can see Goat versus Fish right all over your verses. Ah, that is splendid to Goat versus Fish. Thank you, yes. Thank you, yes. Thank you, STS Guys, for welcoming Goat versus Fish.
Well, thank you for being on the show. I don't know if you know this, Goat versus. You're actually in one of our videos from 2018 San Diego Comic-Con. We actually ran into you a few years ago.
Yeah. What a versus. Yes, that was a verse. That was some verses ago. Yes, the 2018 San Diego Comic-Con. Yes, I would like to review that versus to see it again. Yes, that is how you know Goat versus Fish.
I will send you the link. Yeah, you were under the gas lamp sign. Right in the kind of main walkway area. We were just doing Jeremy and I were just doing like hey, let's walk around outside San Diego Comic-Con because we don't have anything else to do right now video. And we stumbled across you, and that's how we became familiar with Goat versus Fish. You've got a podcast, you've got a YouTube channel, you've got an awesome Instagram and Twitter.
Yes.
We follow you on all of those wonderful platforms.
Celebration. You who listen, you who are watching STS Guys, you should also follow Goat versus Fish. You should also follow Goat versus Fish.
Yes, you can follow him at Goat versus Fish.
Yes, you know, some versus Goat versus Fish is at the Comic-Con, and Goat versus Fish is saying that it is Goat versus Fish, and that in the beginning there is Goat versus Fish, the goat fish, and Goat versus Fish said that there should be goat and that there should be fish. And then they say, oh, how can I find Goat versus Fish? What is your Instagram? It is Goat versus Fish. How do they not know that it is Goat versus Fish?
I have to say, you've actually been pretty lucky because I think you're Goat versus Fish in everything. And how awesome is it? Because you rarely ever get like what you want. You'd be surprised you'd end up being like Goat versus Fish 4.
No, we do not want Goat versus Fish 4, except that we also want Goat versus Fish 4. We want Goat versus Fish 5 and 6 and 11 and 20 billion, and yes. But you are wise in your verses, one that is called Scott. Yes, you are wise in your verses because you did say that it is everywhere Goat versus Fish, and that is one of the true verses of Goat versus Fish. And everywhere and everything in every place and all of you and outside of you, and it is all Goat versus Fish. Yes, Goat versus Fish was pleased to see that it was at Goat versus Fish at all of those verses. It is one of those verses that once you hear Goat versus Fish, it is so obvious to you. Yes, of course, Goat versus Fish. Why has nobody taken Goat versus Fish? But that is only after you have heard the one true verses. Yes, that is why I'm here to spread the verses to you.
Yes. So, speaking of that, so can you tell us the verses about basically the start of Goat versus Fish?
Goat versus Fish. In the beginning, there was Goat versus Fish. The goat fish. And Goat versus Fish said that there should be goat. Make some noise for the goat. Make some noise for the goat.
Goat.
Yeah. And Goat versus Fish said that there should be fish. Make some noise for fish. It is a fish. The bubbling fish. Yes. There is no alpha or omega. There is no black or white. There is no good or evil. There is only goat and fish and Goat versus Fish. Yes. And now you wish to know the beginning of Goat versus Fish, and you have not even heard the one true question, one that is called Scott. Who is Goat versus Fish? What is Goat versus Fish? Why is Goat versus Fish? Scott, are you goat or are you fish?
Team Goat all the way, baby.
Celebration for Goat! Celebration for Goat! Yes, it is a goat. A goat has joined the verses. A goat has joined the verses. Yes. This is how we shall do it. Yes. Look at it now. Look at it now. Yes. It is the verses. It is the verses of STS versus Goat versus Fish. One that is called Scott. One that is called Scott. Yes. Let us see. Yes, it is. It is. Yes, we make it written. Scott. Scott is goat. Yes. And it was written that Scott is goat. Scott is goat. Celebration for goat. Celebration.
One for goats.
But I suppose you wish to know the beginning of Goat versus Fish has always been spreading the verses, but perhaps 2 or 3 verses, or you call them years, you call them. Verses ago, Goat versus Fish went to a place called the Fourth Wall in Los Angeles and began spreading the verses of Goat versus Fish as what they are calling stand-up comedy, yes. And so began speaking and finding Goat and Fish, and then soon Goat versus Fish thought, oh, yes, this place where they put Goat versus Fish, calling it the stage. Yes, Goat versus Fish wanted to go out into the verses to speak directly to ever more Goat and Fish. Yes, so Goat versus Fish went to LA Comic Con, where Goat versus Fish will return for 2019 LA Comic Con, coming soon to a versus near you. Yes, and that is how Goat versus Fish came to meet you all at San Diego Comic Con. Yes, out there spreading the verses, and sometimes at the beaches of Venice, and in all places, Goat versus Fish.
That's awesome. You were in Phoenix, because we're all from Phoenix, right? You were in Phoenix last year for Phoenix Fan Fusion. We did not see you, though. I regret that we did not see you.
I was kind of sad that we actually didn't get to see you. We only found out about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes, Goat versus Fish was there. You know, that versus, it was somewhat fancy to Goat versus Fish. Phoenix Fence Fusion, Goat versus Fish calls it, because they say that the Phoenix is one that they are calling it, what is it? They say it is flying about, and they say, what is it a frog? No, what do they call it? That is not goat or fish. The Phoenix, what do they call it? It is a
bird.
Goat versus Fish, yes. That is what they call it. And so all around it was bird for Goat versus Fish, but there is no bird. There's only goat and fish, so it was not altogether pleasant for Goat versus Fish. But there was an important versus. Have you heard of the one that is called comedian Frank Caliendo? Yes, it is a somewhat older versus, but perhaps you have heard of this one, yes?
Yes.
Mad TV,
Yes.
of course.
Man of many words.
Yes. That
I loved
one,
your video
Franklin
with Frank
Caliendo.
Caliendo.
Yes. Yes, say it again for all to hear.
I loved your video with Frank Caliendo.
Celebration. Yes, the one Frank Caliendo, which pitiably sits on the fence, choosing neither goat nor fish. That one invited Goat versus Fish to speak with Frank Caliendo at the stand-up live. Yes, and it was a celebration of Goat versus Fish. How they enjoyed Goat versus Fish.
No,
That's really, really cool.
Nate, are you goat or are you fish?
Jeremy, give me a fish sound. I'm going fish.
oh,
Celebration for fish, except it is a goat. The goat comes to versus you. The goat comes to versus. What do you do?
Fish all the way.
Fish all the way. Oh, it is fish all the way, fish, yes. And so we make it return. Nate is fish. Yes, Nate, fish. And it was written. There is a goat, there is a fish, and you represent the goat and the fish, and in the name of the goat and the fish, we wish to welcome you to Goat versus Fish. Welcome to Goat versus Fish.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Goat versus Fish is a beautiful versus, yes.
It is. This is the most singing we've ever had on our podcast.
I appreciate it.
I sang one time, didn't I?
Well,
I think we've all kind of at some point broken out into verse.
Oh, you
Goat
have broken
versus
out in
fish.
verses yourself. Let us hear it. Let us hear your celebrations.
no.
Come.
we're not
no.
nearly as.
Oh, no. Surely all the watching Goat and Fish would not be entertained by such a verses as you all singing Goat or Fish or of Goat versus Fish. No, they do not wish to see it at all. No, don't they? Of course they do. Of course they want to see Goat versus Fish. Yes.
Whiskey is goat. There you go.
Whiskey is goat. Celebration for Whiskey Goat. Yes.
Yes.
Come on, Nate. You got to fire back. You got to fire back.
We got to represent for the fish,
You
man.
gotta represent for the fish, Nate.
I need a fish.
Are you just going to let Goat claim whiskey and what do you claim, Fish? What do you claim, Nate? Fish.
I claim IPA for fish.
Ah, it is IPA for fish. IPA for fish.
for fish.
Yes, India fish ale, yes. You know, there are many what they are calling beer that are fish. Yes, there is the Sculpin. Sculpin is a very fish beer. Yes. But there is also goat beer as well. Yes, some they are calling double box, and it has the horn of the goat. Ooh, it is a horny beer coming at you. Yes. Yes.
That's what my wife calls me sometimes.
Is that so? Who is this that has wife? Who has wife?
That'd be Scott, the goat.
That's the goat man himself.
Goat, is your wife a goat or a fish?
Oh, she's definitely goat. She'd go goat.
It is definitely goat, yes. Now, it is a true versus for those who are looking now at goat versus fish. It is for each one to say for themselves if they are goat or if they are fish, yes. But in the absence of that one to say directly to goat versus fish, we will trust this goat. We will trust Scott Goat that the wife is goat, that it is two goats together forever versus fish. Celebration for goats.
Double goat.
Double goat. Yes. So yes. What is it you were thinking? You were thinking, oh, we must speak to goat versus fish. Ah! Yes. Screaming goat. Yes. You have invited goat versus fish. Tell them all, why did you think that you needed so desperately to have goat versus fish?
Well, from my point of view, I think we wanted to spread the message of goat versus fish, because like I said, there's not that many people out there. Like I said, we wanted to spread it out as many people as we've interacted with, because we had such a great positive interaction, at that Comic-Con. We wanted to basically bring that positive interaction and basically make our audience choose goat or fish, and bring them into the fold.
Well,
thank you. Yes. That is celebration.
It's a cool thing to like. There's not very many people that you can see at cons that you continually see over and over again that you recognize and say like, I need to like know who this person is. But you definitely fall into that category. Like, you see you walking around like it's the most amazing thing, and you want to know like, okay, what's going on here, and we got to get this guy on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. It is pleasant that in recent verses, of course, when Goat vs. Fish started going to convention, they did not know of Goat vs. Fish yet, but that is why Goat vs. Fish went to speak to ones such as you, spreading the verses, yes? One by one, they learn of Goat vs. Fish. One by one, they follow Goat vs. Fish. And now when Goat vs. Fish is walking about the convention, Goat vs. Fish will be speaking to a goat and saying, goat, yes, goat. Thank you for choosing goat. Celebration for goat, yes. And the goat will say, but this is strange. What has happened? Goat vs. Fish? But then just as the goat is saying that to Goat vs. Fish, a fish from a prior verses will say, hey, Goat vs. Fish! And Goat vs. Fish will say, hey, fish! Yes, and then the goat will wonder, oh, my verses, we are surrounded by Goat vs. Fish. They all know of Goat vs. Fish. Yes, Goat vs. Fish likes to hear when they shout, Goat vs. Fish from afar. Yes, that is how the verses is spreading, all about.
Yes, we definitely want to contribute to the spreading of the verses. So there's actually a question in the chat. Has there ever been a situation where there's been a goat versus goat?
Has there ever been a situation where there is goat versus goat? No, it is always goat versus fish. It is always goat versus fish. However, yes, let us say there is a very tempting fish. There is a very tempting fish. Yes, and then the goat come together and they say, one goat says, I want to versus the fish. But then the other goat says, no, I want to versus the fish. Then the goat and the goat, they may, as you call it, verses, they may verses, but it is not the true verses of a goat and a fish, yes? Remember the Super Bowl, yes? You remember the Super Bowl, yes?
Oh, yes, the Super Bowl.
Yes, they say Tom Brady. What do they say is Tom Brady?
The fish.
Goat.
The goat.
Oh,
the goat. But one says fish. One says fish. Who said fish? Who said Tom Brady fish?
That would be
Larry.
Larry, yes. Why is Tom Brady fish and not goat, as so many say?
Because he flops around like a fish out of water. When he gets tackled,
fish out of water.
He looks a little like a fish out of water.
I think Larry's got a good point. I'm gonna have to say he's a fish now.
I think they mislabeled.
Yes. Fish is the new goat.
So, according to these verses, Tom Brady is fish. Tom Brady is fish. Well, perhaps it is fish. That is why it was versus the Los Angeles Rams, and the Los Angeles Rams are clearly goat. So where has there been goat versus goat? Well, when Goat versus Fish saw that Tom Brady was versus the Rams, which are not Rams but goats, because they have the horn of the goat, clearly they are goat. Yes, goat versus fish was wondering, what sort of fanciness is this that a goat would be versus a goat? Surely they are versing so they can determine who can versus the fish. Yes, who can versus the fish. That is. So even a goat that is versus a goat is actually goat versus fish. Yes.
True.
Where are you seeing chat? Goat versus fish wants to see chat but cannot see them. Where are the ones speaking to goat versus fish?
In YouTube, there's a chat going on. Live chat.
Or if in StreamYard, right, the thing we use to stream, over on the right side, there should be a thing that says private chat and then live comments. If you switch to live comments, you should be able to see it too.
Wow! Yes, they're all speaking to goat versus fish. Let us see. Fish. Night Bodega says fish. Yes, fish to you as well. Yes, Judge Jack says goat. Celebration for Judge Jack the goat. Yes. Fish wins, yes. Night Bodega speaking all kinds of dragging the goat into the sea of the fish. Dragging the goat. Yes, let us see. Yes, and there is all fish, all of the verses. Yes, celebration. Welcome to Goat versus Fish.
Well, Goat versus Fish, that we do have, sadly, a alternative kind of reason for bringing you on board as well. Unfortunately, I said we have a fence sitter in our midst.
We do.
Say it is not so. You bring fence sitters before Goat versus Fish?
Well,
we need the ultimate moderator.
We need
to help us decide.
Exactly.
We need your expertise.
Goat versus Fish. Just when we thought it was all Goat versus Fish, then the fence sitter comes about, wants to make it all fancy for Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish. You just wait a versus. Fence sitters always bringing the not choosing goat or fish to Goat versus Fish. What is it that they wish from Goat versus Fish?
We've really pissed off Goat versus Fish.
I don't think we've ever actually made a guest mad until today.
No, this is the first time someone besides me, he's actually got up and walked away during the middle of a podcast.
Trouble for Goat versus Fish. Yes, it cannot just be goat and fish, can it? Oh, it must be a fence sitter. And it must be something that is not a goat or a fish.
Sorry to offend you, Goat versus Fish.
Oh, you are not a fence to Goat versus Fish. You are not a fence to Goat versus Fish. But just as you spoke of fence sitters, Goat versus Fish lost that which makes it written, but now we can make it written again. Who is the fence sitter? Goat versus Fish wonders. Goat versus Fish suspects that it is Jeremy. Are you goat or are you fish?
I am goat.
Jeremy is goat. Celebration for goat. We will have to wait on the fence sitter because Jeremy is goat and we celebrate the goat. Why do you choose goat?
The goat is strong.
The goat is strong. Jeremy.
They're natural lawnmowers.
Yeah, I was just saying, you got to give it up to something that can eat almost anything.
That is true.
Celebration. Look at the verses now. There is 2 goat and there is 1 fish. Then I suppose that leaves one. The pitiable one. The very pitiable one. That is calling itself Larry. That is calling itself Larry. Larry, are you goat or fish?
Goat versus Fish. I'm sorry to say, I am neither goat nor fish.
Fence sitter. You are neither goat nor fish. What do you claim to be?
Oh God, I wasn't ready for that.
You see the fence sitter? They say, I am not a goat or a fish. But then you ask them what they even think that they are. They do not know. They do not know if they are goat or fish. You are not prepared for goat versus fish.
No, that's a good point.
Fenciness. Oh, the fenciness. Yes. Well, we are waiting, fence sitter. We are waiting to know what it is you claim to be.
Well, I'm just over here sitting on my fence, drinking my water in my koozie.
You are drinking the sea of the fish? A fence sitter is drinking the sea of the fish. It's drinking the sea of the fish. Nate Fish. What do you say? The fence sitter is consuming the sea of the fish.
I think he's fish.
We
need some more fish over here.
You need more fish. Well, we shall have to see. You shall have to get off of the fence. Ooh, the fence. Oh, no,
but it's such a nice fence.
To be fair, that is actually a really nice fence.
It is a nice fence.
Goat versus Fish does not care for it, no. When did you know that you were not thinking that you are a goat or a fish, Larry? Yes, this concerns Goat versus Fish.
I think it was last Tuesday when I was watching your videos and I decided that I'm just not a goat. And then I'm like, well, maybe I'm a fish.
Maybe you are a fish.
No, I'm just not a fish because I don't like to eat seafood. I'm not a big fish guy. Like no salmon, no trout.
Well, that sounds very goat. That sounds very goat.
It does, but like I also don't like hairy things, and you're never going to see me eat a tin can. So I'm in no way. I can't be a goat either. It's a tough choice.
Be a goat. You say you decided this. You decided this.
Yes, my heart was telling me that I was neither goat nor fish.
You decided nothing. You decided nothing. You have not decided goat or fish. You think you are making some kind of decision not to be goat or fish, but no, you are simply avoiding the choice of goat versus fish. Yes, you must have had a difficult versus when you were a young one. Yes, when you were a young one, some goat or fish must have done something to you. Some fence sitter must have come to you and told you that you did not have to be a goat or a fish. What is goat versus fish to do? What is goat versus fish?
I don't know, goat versus fish. How do I find my true calling to know whether I'm a goat or a fish?
Well, first verses, yes. Look at the ones around you, yes. Scott is goat, yes. Nate is fish, and Jeremy is goat, yes. Let us hear from them. Let us hear their stories of goat and fish, and perhaps we can see if you can relation to them, yes. Who wishes to verse first? Yes, let us have it be Scott. Yes, tell them when you knew that you were goat.
Oh, I've always known. No, I mean, I grew up on a farm, right? Like, one of my favorite things in the world was back in the day, SNL, Jim Brewer's Goat Boy on SNL. That was the day I decided goat. I am goat.
Yes. That is an excellent versus, goat. That is an excellent versus. Celebration. Ah, look, it is a new goat. Ah, yes.
Oh. Squeaky goat.
Yes. And what of Jeremy? Yes, Jeremy. Yes, Jeremy goat.
Yes,
Jeremy goat.
I've been a goat for quite a long time. To be honest though, like I said, I can relate to Larry because back in the day, I too myself used to be a fence sitter. But like I said, I came to the error of my ways, and you know what? Scott had talked to me. Nate had talked to me. You know what? I side more, with my homeboy Scott over here. I said we like drinking, we like being completely horrible people.
We're rabble rousers.
Oh man.
So you know what? I related more to the goat. So it was that day forward that I was reborn as the goat, and I think it's awesome that goat has a poncho.
Ah, yes, this is the goat. It is from Cabra contra Pez. Ay, Cabra contra Pez. En el principio fue Cabra contra Pez, lo Cabra Pez, y Cabra versus Pez dijo que debería haber Cabra y que debería haber Pez. Yes, it is Cabra contra Pez. Nate, let us hear your verses of fish.
I've always been a fish. Fish are free. These goats are confused. You got to be a fish to enjoy life to the fullest. Go out into the water and explore. And I really like eating fish. And like you said, one of my favorite IPAs is Sculpin, which is a fish. And fish are just great. I'm fish all the way.
Wait. So I'm gonna call timeout right here. So you like eating?
You cannot stop goat versus fish.
Yeah. So you're fish and you like to eat fish. I know what Jeremy's going for. You said you like to eat fish, so you are fish.
That's right.
Yes, let us hear it. Let us hear it, Jeremy Goat. Yes.
Yes. Why are you eating your own kind?
I respect the power of the fish, man. There's a lot.
It is a known versus. It is a known versus that fish consume fish. Fish do consume fish. So it is strange to goat versus fish because they should be consuming goat because it is goat versus fish. But that is the way of fish. Before we speak against offense,
so Larry, I would say that you are fish.
There's always a bigger fish, right?
I don't know. What were you going to say, goat versus fish?
Goat versus fish was going to look at the ones that are chatting to goat versus fish. They have questions. They have questions for goat versus fish. Yes, we can always get back to the fence sitter. It is probably just going to be there sitting on the fence choosing neither goat nor fish. Yes, it says, Judge Jack says, can one ever switch from goat to fish or fish to goat? That is an excellent versus. Judge Jack. If you are a goat, if you are a fish, do tell us if you are goat or fish. Yes. In one versus, one must be goat or fish. But in the next verses, if you were a fish, you could choose to be goat. Or in the following verses, back to goat again, or then back to fish. Yes, from verses to verses, some verses you can be fish. Other verses you can be goat. Some know that they are always goat. Some know they are always fish. For others, it depends on the verses. Yes, but you cannot be goat and fish in the same verses. Unless it is your birthday. On your special birthday. On your special birthday, you can be goat and fish, but only on your birthday. Yes, only on your birthday.
Scott,
Larry, is it your birthday, Larry? Is it your birthday, Larry?
Unfortunately, it's not my birthday.
Yes. You just want it all, don't you? You want it all, even though it is not your birthday.
I'm very selfish.
Fish.
Judge Jack is goat. Judge Jack is goat. Celebration for Jack the goat.
Judge
That asks
Jack.
splendid question.
I can name a bunch of powerful fish. Can you name a bunch of powerful goat? We have
Those fainting ones.
We have
you got the
killer
screaming
whales.
ones.
We have
we can walk
land
up land.
sharks.
Ooh, are sharks
Piranhas.
fish?
Sharks are
I've got a
fish.
lot of-
Sharks are fish. Some will
sharks
say
are
a
pretty
shark is
cool.
a mammal. No, a shark is a fish. A shark is a fish. Yes.
Yeah,
In
great
goat versus
white.
fish, sharks are fish.
Sharks are fish. Sharks
Jaws.
are fish.
Jaws aligns with the fish.
Jaws.
Do not get it fenced. Sharks are fish. You
I
can
do-
look up this verses. Sharks are known to be fish.
Google it.
I do like Jaws.
I agree with you, goat versus fish. They are fish.
They are fish.
I
They're
agree.
a powerful fish.
Yes. They are a very powerful fish. Some would say the most powerful fish, and yet the largest shark, the largest fish. It is called a whale shark, and yet it is not known if a whale is a goat or a fish. This is troubling to goat versus fish. It swims in the sea like a fish, and yet it breathes the verses like a goat. Are you a whale? Larry, are you a whale? Do you claim to be a whale? Larry,
Ooh, is that an
Larry the
option?
fence.
Do you like to
No.
swim, Larry?
No, that one doesn't feel right either, guys.
Larry, you enjoy water.
Well, of course, water's great.
You're always drinking water, Larry.
I'm
You're a
always
fish.
drinking water in
I
a
don't drink-
koozie.
I don't drink water. Fish fucking it.
It is true. Fish do fuck. You know, goat versus fish went to a place that is called Hentai Con. Yes, there were many fucking goat and fish there. Many fucking goat and fish.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is a place I would be afraid to go. Goat versus fish. To be honest.
Larry, here you are, Larry. Here is a question to help you choose goat or fish. Yes.
What?
Would you fuck a goat?
No,
What
No.
about a fish?
maybe. Remember that Simpsons episode with Troy
Maybe.
McClure?
Wait,
He
I
said
said-
maybe.
Stop. No.
He said
Your answer to would you fuck a fish was maybe.
He's a fish, damn it.
Remember that Simpsons episode? It's the one
No,
where Troy
no
McClure's in
Simpsons
the planet.
reference. You just said you would fuck a fish.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Let us not get outside our verses.
It is a possibility.
There's some pretty fish out there. There's never been like a hot goat.
Never been a hot goat. You know, there are some goat that would contest that versus. Yes, goat
Yeah.
versus
I'm
fish.
sure Scott's wife would contest.
Well, pretty sure I'm staying away from that one too.
Yes. Well, when you are ready to fuck the fish, then you tell goat versus fish. You commit. But wait. Tyler Calvert. Which came first, goat or the fish? A question for goat versus fish. Which came first, the goat or the fish? In the beginning, there was goat versus fish, and goat versus fish said that there should be goat and that there should be fish. Yes. Whether or not the goat or fish came first, well, in this verses, the goat came first. The goat came first this verses because Scott was the first to choose, and it was goat. But in another verses, it may be the fish that comes first. Yes, some say goat has a superior verses because it is the first verses of goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. But then other fish say that fish has the final verses in goat versus fish. Yes, so it is for you to choose who will triumph in the verses of who came first, the goat or the fish. Yes.
Well, if Scott is a goat, goat's always going to come first.
Is that so? Interesting verses. But I thought you said you did not fuck goats. How would you know this verses if you do not fuck goats? Have you been fucking a goat? Have you been fucking a goat?
I may have told some stories. This is going in a great direction.
Yes. Well, it is because you spoke of it to goat versus fish. You spoke of fucking to goat versus fish, and so goat versus fish gives the fucking back to you. Yes, goat versus fish comes from within you. It comes from within you. Yes, but Tyler Calvert, yes, we wish to know if you are goat or fish. Tell us if you are goat or fish.
No fence sitters.
There's a delay, so Tyler will answer. I feel like Tyler's probably a fish.
He's fish all the
I
way.
know. You know what? I'm going to put
goat.
that here. I think he's goat. Tyler's goat.
He's goat.
I think Tyler's goat.
We shall see. Let us see.
The
Will Tyler
anticipation.
choose goat?
Yeah.
Will Tyler choose fish? We do not know. We do not know. But what I can tell you, Larry, is that
Yes.
let us see, Larry. Yes, Larry. And it is a fence sitter. Oh, my verses. Oh, Larry fence sitter. Oh no.
Larry.
It is not part of the
Larry.
verses. It is not part of the verses.
I've
It
been
is not part of the
eliminated.
verses. But Goat versus Fish will always welcome you.
Oh,
If
thank you.
Come to Goat versus Fish. Yes, if you wish to come to Goat versus Fish, you could be a fish. Look at this fish. Look at this fish. This could be you.
It
This
is a
could
pretty
be you.
fish.
You
That's
could
a
go
fine
on- And
fish.
you can go to all those hentai cons.
Yes.
Yes, Goat versus Fish went there.
Oh,
Goat versus Fish was wondering to go. Would they accept Goat versus Fish at the Hentai Con? Yes, but Goat versus Fish says that in all places is Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish must commit to that versus. It must be in all places Goat versus Fish. In all things Goat versus Fish. There is not a versus that Goat versus Fish should not go to spread the verses of Goat versus Fish. We welcome all Goat and Fish.
I have a good opportunity that you should pursue.
There is no good or evil, only Goat and Fish. But continue, yes.
The Adult Video Awards in Las Vegas.
Tell Goat versus Fish of this versus. Yes.
Like I said,
It's porn awards.
yeah. Like I said, you have the goat, which is the fur, and you have the fish, which is the fish. Like I said, they could be. You know, they need the power. They need the knowledge. They need everything that you have to offer to be able to bring
They do.
the verses.
They do. Yes, if any ones who are listening now to STS Guys, that is truly Goat versus Fish, except for the fence sitter that chooses neither goat nor fish. If you wish Goat versus Fish to come to a place, yes, then put it in the chat. Yes, say, Goat versus Fish, come to this place or this convention. Music festival. Yes, Goat versus Fish will dance and sing and celebrate at a music festival. Yes, Adult Swim Festival. Goat versus Fish will be there in November versus, yes. The week's end after this, Goat versus Fish will be at LA Comic Con. And you can always go to goatvsfish.com to find all the dates and times of future verses. You can always go there. Yes. Yes. Excuse Goat versus Fish. To promote Goat versus Fish is very Goat versus Fish. It is quite Goat.
You see Tyler's answer. Tyler is feeling very goat right now.
You are feeling very Goat. But look at its next verses.
But then again, fish is
Fish-
also very nice.
So
So
he-
do we have another fence
No,
sitter?
but
Fence
he's not a fence sitter
sitter.
because there is a time in the first one. He says right now he's goat. So in this
So for this
verses,
verses,
he
all right,
is
all right,
goat,
all right.
but he could be fish in other verses.
Yes, it is saying that it is feeling very Goat, yes, but that through verses, fish are also very nice. Yes, you can be a goat that likes fish. You can be a fish that likes goat as long as you are goat or fish, Larry, that you are goat or fish, yes. But Tyler, yes, the verses is not so simple. Yes. You may be feeling very goat, but if you are going to be goat, then commit to goat. Say that you are goat. Say that you are a goat. Yes, in the mean verses, Dinny Maguire says, is that Burger King? False verses, Burger King, false verses. Goat versus fish is tired of being compared to a Burger King. Burger King has no verses on Goat versus Fish. No verses on Goat versus Fish. No, it is false verses. It is false versus Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish is now going to look within Goat versus Fish to show you an evidence. Burger King. Yes, how could they even think that the Burger King is Goat versus Fish? What is the beef? What is the beef that Burger King has with Goat versus Fish?
The Beyond Beef.
I think I have to say, I think the Burger King stole your look.
Goat versus Fish thinks so as well. After all, in the beginning, there was Goat versus Fish. First, it was Goat versus Fish.
It's true. Very fishy.
Yes, it is. And goatee as well. Yes, let us see. Goat and fish and goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. It is goat versus fish. Yes. Look at the verses. On the Goat versus Fish Instantgram.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
That is a wonderful photo.
That's amazing.
Yes, Goat
He's a very
versus
tall
Fish
man,
is
that Burger King.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he's got some height.
very high on the fence. Very high
Yes,
on the
yes.
fence. Yes.
No,
Fence sitter.
here's the que- Did the Burger King choose goat or fish?
Goat versus Fish. It was the one that is calling Burger King. Yes, Goat versus Fish was not able to ask it if it was goat or fish because it was so trying to control the verses. The fence sitter is always trying to control the verses, so it cannot be Goat versus Fish. But in that same verses, Goat versus Fish can tell you this verses. In that same verses of Adult Swim, Goat versus Fish, Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish became a fish. Goat versus fish became a fish.
Oh, look at that.
Whoa. So would you say that you align with the fish, goat versus fish?
Of course, goat versus fish aligns with the fish.
So you are a fish. If you had to choose.
I am a goat and a fish. I am a goat and a fish. And neither goat nor fish. I am goat versus fish, the goat fish, the unity and disunity of goat and fish. Yes.
He's the gospel.
He represents for both. But you know what? We did have somebody in the chat, Night Bodega, who aligned with the fish. So now we have 2 fish.
Celebration!
but-
Night Bodega fish!
But we also had Tyler and Judge Jack both on goat. So we got 2 more for goat.
Yes, in the verses of the chat. The verses of the chat. Yes. How many goat? How many fish?
I think we only have like 2 fish right now, goat versus fish.
Yes, verses of chat. Verses of chat. The verses of the chat. Yes. Let us see. Verses of chat. If you are goat, say goat. If you are fish, say fish. We are going to tally the verses. Tally the verses.
Fish.
Yes, goat versus fish. Yes.
Denny
Goat versus fish.
McGuire, fish.
Oh no!
Oh, nice, Denny.
Yes, we have one
We got
fish.
3 fish.
3 fish? Yes, how many goat? How many goat?
Now we have 3
1,
additional goats
2.
now. So
3
we got
goats?
Carl Soulvillain, goat,
Celebration,
Judge
Carl
Jack,
Sullivan,
goat.
goat.
Jack.
and Tyler. Yeah, so we're we got
You can't do
1,
math.
2, 3, 4, 5 goat, and 1, 2, 3. What is that? 3 fish? 2 fish?
I think it's 3 fish.
3 fish. 3 fish.
This is the verses now. This is the verses now. 5 goat,
No.
3 fish. Yes, but the
We'll
verses will
consider.
consider.
But what about all the omega-3s?
Yes, what of the omega 3s? Yes, the omega 3. Is omega red a fish? Is omega red a fish?
He's a comic book character.
He's a comic book character.
Yes, but
But we
all
do have
things are goat or
Aquaman.
fish. All things
There's
are goat or
Aquaman.
fish.
You know what?
That reminds goat versus
he's
fish.
goat. He's goat. He's got that the wild hair. He's goat.
He's Russian.
But
He's
even
goat.
with the omega, it has omega right there in the verses.
Omega-3.
Maybe he ate some fish and got his omega 3s that way.
Ah, interesting verses. Yes, you see how anything can be goat versus fish. Anything can be goat versus fish. You know, goat versus fish saw a verses. Goat versus fish saw a verses of Joker. Goat versus fish saw that
Oh,
verses
yes.
just today verses. Yes, true verses. Goat versus fish did watch it to prepare for you. Goat versus fish knows you love to be speaking about such verses. So goat versus fish is always prepared to verses with you. Yes.
Oh, thank you, goat versus fish.
Yeah,
We
we-
appreciate that.
You did your homework. We appreciate it. So I
Jeremy-
know.
Jeremy
we
the
have-
goat watched it, and Nate the fish watched it. So I'm interested to see what their goat and fish impressions of it, the movie, are too, as well as goat versus fish.
Yes, we do not want to spoil the verses for those who have
No.
not seen it.
Yeah,
yes,
no
but
spoilers.
let us speak of it in terms of goat versus fish, which is the way that you should speak of it always. Yes. Nate, when it comes to goat versus fish, what did you think of Joker?
I thought Joker was awesome. Joaquin Phoenix really surprised me with his performance. And they really kind of just like focus on what does it really mean to be Joker? You know, you got to have a lot of fish to be Joker. And Joaquin Phoenix really shows his fish in this Joker role. No, just kidding. Got to represent for the fish. Anyways, it was a really great movie, and it went places I didn't think it was going to go. You know, this guy has a horrible life. He's got some crazy mental problems, and life just keeps throwing him curveball after curveball, and he just starts to lose it. And you get to see like this guy's, you know, kind of descent into madness, and it's crazy. I really liked it. If you're a fan of Batman or comic books, I think you need to go see it. It's got some tie-ins to some DC lore. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but there's some really cool surprises in the movie.
Joker, goat or fish?
Fish.
He's got to be. He's got the clownfish, right? Like there's.
Yeah.
You are wise with your
Speaking-
verses. You are wise with your verses.
From a goat. I'm saying the Joker is a clown.
That's
Fish.
a pretty
He
wise
is a
statement.
Clownfish.
He is a
Pretty-
clownfish.
That's
Yeah, of course
pretty
he's a
wise
fucking clown.
statement there,
Yeah.
goat.
Yes, you remember this verses, don't you? Yes, the verses of the Joker fish. The verses of the
Yes.
Joker fish.
Yes.
Yes.
Classic
Yes, it
Batman,
was
the
on.
animated series.
Yeah.
Yes. Bat goat versus Joker fish. Bat goat versus Joker fish. Yes. Jeremy, you know, Goat versus Fish must say this because it occurs to Goat versus Fish. When Goat versus Fish was just showing you the Burger King and how Goat versus Fish was becoming a fish for that versus, yes, that is because Goat versus Fish was there at the Comic-Con at the Adult Swim Carny-Con. Yes, Goat versus Fish is often versing with Adult Swim, and they have a versus called Fish Center Live. Oh, it is a center that is lively full of fish. It is a live stream of fish, yes, and Goat versus Fish became a fish for that versus, and there is a fish on the versus of Fish Center Live that is called Jeremy Leg. But it is a fish. But this Jeremy is not a fish, but a goat. Goat versus Fish thought that Jeremy was fish, but now it seems that there is a Jeremy Goat. Interesting verses. Jeremy Goat, what do you say to Jeremy Leg the fish?
Jeremy Leg the fish. You know
Jeremy
what?
Leg needs to stop fucking around and become a goat.
Shame, Jeremy Leg the fish.
That's what I'm saying.
Shame on you for choosing fish.
Ruining
Jeremy Leg
name
knows
Jeremy.
what's up.
ruining my namesake, ruining my verses of the goat.
Jeremy Leg speaks the truth.
Jeremy Leg does not speak the truth, Nate.
It is fish.
Nate, kindly, fuck you. Okay?
Them's fighting words.
The goats are getting aggressive.
Your goat attitude needs to just back off a little bit, all right?
You know what?
Yeah. Yes. And what is the Jeremy? Play the noise as we had to decide what's the noise that a fish makes. Yeah, it's bubbles because fish don't make noises.
Well, maybe they do underwater.
They do. Goat versus Fish studies the verses well. Goat versus Fish do make a sound of fish. Yes, they are sounding as this. It sounds as...
That is
Terrifying.
Yes, it has
That is
been recorded.
absolutely
It has been
horrifying.
recorded.
Yeah, see?
Nate, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like choking on a cock.
yeah.
The
The goats are going to will fight us.
Yeah. Come,
Jeremy, what did you think of Joker movie Joker?
Oh, so I'm so for the movie, I also do think Joker is a fish due to his lineage of actually having Joker fish. The things I appreciated about this movie were the homages to the previous Jokers that have come before, specifically towards the end. I'm not going to say anything of what actually happened. It's a great kind of homage to Heath Ledger's Joker as well.
That's cool.
Do we got some Cesar Romero?
Does he grow a mustache?
Does he have a mustache
and
that he paints over with the white?
Or does he go surfing? I would.
Yes,
love
in that verses, it sent its fellow shark fish to attack the bat goat. Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
yes, in those old verses. Yes,
shark-
Caesar
yeah, that's
Romero,
what-
Joker fish.
The episode of the
Shark.
shark repellent. Yep.
So who is the better Joker? We'll do like the three most recent, right? Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, or Joaquin Phoenix. Out of those three, who is your favorite? Nate first.
Ooh,
Sorry,
I need to go
Nate.
with me first. Man, this is a tough one. I think I like the psyche of Joaquin Phoenix better. You really kind of understand why he is the Joker. But I got to say, as far as overall portrayal and being the Joker that I know from the comics, I'm going to have to say
he's going Jared Leto.
I'm going to have to go Heath Ledger. Because I don't know, Heath Ledger, man, watching The Dark Knight, seeing him as the Joker blew me away. Joaquin Phoenix blew me away as well, but I really like Heath Ledger's version a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't seen it, so right. But the difference between Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix is it's Joaquin Phoenix's movie, so I'm sure it gets more time, more character development, all that stuff too. So
I
makes
think
sense.
to Larry's point, it's a very different thing when you have the character just kind of show up as the Joker in Heath Ledger's case.
Yeah.
He's already there. He doesn't have like a backstory or anything versus this one, which is kind of telling a backstory. It's really hard to compare those two since there's a whole different method of character development that they employ.
He tells his mom a backstory.
I'm guessing that'll make sense once I see the movie.
Yeah, I
Well,
did.
I really want to hear from Goat versus Fish.
Yeah. So what do you think, Goat versus Fish?
So what was
Show
your
us.
what was your
think
thoughts?
of Joker?
Yes. First verse, Larry, you are wondering of the emoji of the fence.
Yes. Is there one? Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you.
And there is also the fencer that is always pointing at goat versus fish. It is fencing at goat versus fish. Oh, why can you not be goat or fish? Ooh, can I be goat and fish? And in the beginning there was goat versus fish. Well, what was before goat versus fish? Fencily asking questions to goat versus fish. Yes. But you wish to know what goat versus fish thought of the Joker verses. Well, let goat versus fish say this first. Yes. Though we are sympathetic to this one that is calling itself Joker, yes, because it has yet to hear the verses of Goat versus Fish, yes, and it is having such difficult verses. Goat versus Fish must say that Goat versus Fish does never wish the end of any goat or fish, and that one when it was saying it was joking about, but Goat versus Fish does not think it is spoiling the verses to say that the Joker ended other goat and fish. It ended other goat and fish, and this is never pleasant to Goat versus Fish. But Goat versus Fish, yes, watch the verses, and Goat versus Fish was just waiting for Goat or Fish. Was waiting for the Joker Fish. Goat versus Fish does not think that Goat or Fish, or even verses, was said even once in that verses of Joker. Yes, so Goat versus Fish was trying to get into the verses, but the complete lack of Goat and Fish and Goat versus Fish, that made it Goat versus Fish difficult to comprehend just what it was that they were saying. Perhaps because a Joker is so crazy, they say, it does not comprehend Goat versus Fish, yes. But there was a fence, and those who watched Goat versus Fish watching the Joker movie, those who have seen Joker movie will understand this versus, yes. Bat Goat versus Joker Fish was prevented. The versus was prevented by the fence. Jeremy, Nate, do you remember that verses of Bat Goat and Joker Fish that was prevented by the fence? Do you remember that verses?
Yes.
Yes, you see how the fence gets between the goat and the fish so they cannot have goat versus fish? Do you see what you are doing, Larry? Do you see what happens, Larry? Do you see what happens, Larry, when you do not choose goat or fish?
Goat versus fish, you have just blown my mind.
Look at the conflict that you have caused within this group here, just being a fence sitter.
I just have to say that's the best
He just made
review
Joker,
I've ever heard.
He just made Joker mean something completely different to me.
However,
Thank you, Goat versus Fish.
Yes, look at that fence.
I'm going to insert a challenge into that.
Uh-oh.
Let us hear it. Let us hear it.
Versus.
Because I said, at that specific point when the fence had caused the problem, it was not Bat Goat and Joker Fish. It was only Joker Fish because Bat Goat had not existed.
What you are saying? The goat, it's not existing. But before you, what verses are you making to Goat versus Fish? Once more to Goat versus Fish.
The events that created the Bat Goat had not happened.
Yes.
So
you are saying it had not yet chosen goat.
it had not yet chosen Goat.
So you're saying Bruce Wayne was a fence sitter?
I'm pretty sure with Jack Napier, he became a goat at that moment. So
Yeah, right.
Well, it is so that they were not asked directly if they were goat or fish, but again, Goat versus Fish simply blames it on the fence. It was the fence. It was the fence that fenced up the whole verses.
There was a
fenced
fence.
up the whole verses. Fenciness. Ooh, the sign of the fence. Do not look directly at it. Ooh, it is the fence. It is going.
Oh, I can do it. Look at
this
that.
verses and that verses. Oh, so easily you sit on the fence. But Goat versus Fish would recommendation that you go to see this Joker versus to decide for yourself if it is goat or fish. There is much evidence of Joker Fish, yes, but perhaps you will see some goat.
I will be looking for the goat when I go see it.
Yes.
Wise words, Goat versus Fish.
Yeah. So
Yes.
now
And
here's
it
the
was
thing.
written.
I'm going to say this right now, Larry.
Yes, sir.
We're not gonna end this thing until you decide. I am not leaving with a fence sitter on this stream.
Nor should you.
We must have
Point
some
of verses. How much longer is the verses with Goat versus Fish?
We got like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably.
So-
we usually go about an hour.
So we're reaching about 50 minutes here, and so
Okay.
I'm going to the point where I think we're going to need this 10 minutes to really narrow this down, because I'm not letting this go. Like, I am not going to hit the end button and let you all leave until we decide on this.
The never-ending episode.
The never-ending stream until Larry
104.
decides.
It is
All right.
forever Goat versus Fish.
So, Larry, I have an idea.
Okay, what do you got?
Why don't we help you decide
Okay.
if you are goat or fish?
All right, you can try, but
Okay.
this fence is
But I have
quite
an idea. So
comfortable.
what I'm gonna do here's what I'll say is, Larry.
Yes, sir.
What are some of your most favorite? Ooh, let's see. What are your top 5 favorite pops right now? Based on that, we're all going to tell you whether or not we think you are
All right.
goat or fish.
I'm just gonna start naming things off the top of my head.
Okay.
So we're going. I'm feeling Parks and Rec pops out first. So we're going Burt Macklin. We're going Spider-Man. We're going Batman because I can see him behind me. We're going Kagan Kodos from The Simpsons, and we're going Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Okay. So, the Kagan Kodo. To me,
fish.
Simpsons, Three-Eyed Fish. You guys, all that stuff.
Blinky.
Yeah.
Finding Nemo, fish.
Fish. Larry,
Parts
I'm
which
going,
have fish.
If I had to guess, if I had to venture a label, I'm going to put you in fish.
3 fish out of 2 goats.
All right.
See,
No. All
Jeremy,
right.
what do you think?
Come to the side of the fish.
I
Larry.
disagree. I think Larry is a goat. So he mentioned Parks and Rec. So one such character from Parks and Rec is little Sebastian.
That's a horse.
That's a pony.
It is a 4-legged farm animal that also is goat.
BoJack Horseman, goat or fish?
Goat.
So whoa. Okay, we got Kang and Kodos, which are both fish. So that's 2 fish. Then you have Finding Nemo, which is another fish. I'm saying Parks and Rec equals fish because parks have
There's
fish.
fish in a park.
That's 4 fish.
Yeah.
That's 4 fish.
And there's several episodes where people fall in creeks.
Yes.
So
In pits. All right.
and in pits.
In my heart of hearts, I am a
Are you goat or are you fish?
I am fish. Goat versus fish.
Celebration for fish! Celebration for fish! It is a fish! It is a fish! It is a fish! It is a fish! Yes, it is fish! Celebration for fish! Celebration for fish! Yes, so many fish! So many fish! Yes,
Power
let
of
us
the
make
fish.
it written. Let us make it written.
Yes.
Yes. Let us see. Ah, no, it is off the fence. It is off the fence. It is off the
You
fence.
need a bigger board.
Larry is fish.
And it was written.
Yes.
And it was written. You know what that means. There are 2 goat and there are 2 fish. There are 2 goat and there are 2 fish. Yes. Larry, you are a fish now. You are a fish now. How do you versus the goat? How do you versus the goat?
I don't know what I'm supposed to answer.
You are a fish. Represent your fish.
Fish.
Yes.
Fish.
The goat is lowering the horns at
Goat.
you. The goat lowers its horns. It is kicking at you. Yes, it is ramming at you. It is ramming as a goat. Yes, and it is saying goaty things to you. Ah, you are a worthless fish. No, you cannot even versus the goat. How do you versus the goat, fish, Larry Fish?
I'm gonna use my special attack. I'm gonna turn around and dump some fish poop right on that goat.
And the fish pooped on the goat. Fish pooped on the goat.
Yes.
Pooped on
Fish
the
poop on the goat.
80
Yes,
damage.
and the poop came out of the fish, and it fell right on the goat. Oh, the poop on the goat. Oh no. Oh, goat, you have just been pooped upon, goat.
There are
And
props.
thus the fence has been broken.
The fence has been broken. No more
The
fence.
fence has been broken. The fence has been broken.
There is only goat
Celebration.
and there's only fish.
Yes, that means this versus will have to be determined by the ones that are chatting. Yes, they are the ones who choose goat or fish. But in the remaining verses, thank you, Larry, for choosing fish. Goat versus fish would like to sing a celebration with all of you of goat versus fish.
Let's do it.
Let's do
Yes.
goat versus fish.
Yes, it goes as this. Yes. You may think, I cannot join in with goat versus fish because there will be delay and it will not sound pleasant. But let me tell you, simply enjoy this versus with goat versus fish and let us sing in celebration of goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish.
fish.
Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish.
Keep going, Scott.
Goat versus fish.
So I have to give some props and some kudos out. Goat versus Fish. You are the first person in 104 episodes to get us all to sing.
Yes.
So
Best
congratulations
episode
to you, sir.
ever.
Thank you, yes. But I am not a person. I am simply goat versus fish.
That's touche.
Yeah, Scott.
Thank you, yes. And to all the ones who are listening now and typing and have said that they are goat or fish, yes, do not hesitate to follow Goat versus Fish. Follow Goat versus Fish on the social media. Declare loudly if you are goat or if you are fish. If you want to see the verses of Goat versus Fish spread, yes, say, I just watched at Goat versus Fish on at STS Guys. Yes, it was an excellent verses. I am a fish or I am a goat. Or say what you are pondering about Goat versus Fish. The verses are yours now. Join with Goat versus Fish. Subscribe, follow, and like Goat versus Fish. Tell all you know of Goat versus Fish and Goat versus Fish. Ooh, do you want Goat versus Fish of your own? Oh, look, it is Goat versus Fish. Ooh, it is Goat versus Fish. If you wish to buy and own Goat versus Fish, if you wish to buy and own Goat versus Fish, send a message to Goat versus Fish. Send a message to Goat versus Fish.
I think I'm going to need a Goat versus Fish shirt.
Yeah,
Goat versus
100%.
Fish.
We'll be in
Celebration.
Goat versus Fish. We will be in touch.
Yes,
Yes.
we
Thank you,
represent.
yes.
Goat versus
So-
Fish, we have to thank you for being here.
Yes.
Please, everybody in the chat, go follow, subscribe, like Goat versus Fish. Tell them that you saw them on the STS Guys, and tell them Goat versus Fish or Goat or Fish.
Yeah,
Don't-
and if you, like I said, if you see him at a con, don't be shy. Go up and go say hi.
Yeah.
I made a rhyme.
Hey.
Thank you, yes. Thank you, yes.
Yes.
So
Thank
Larry-
you, yes. Thank
so-
you, STS Guys, for welcoming Goat versus Fish. Thank you, yes.
So
Much
Larry, we
appreciated.
know where to go find Goat versus Fish. Where can you find us?
Yeah. So again, go follow Goat versus Fish. He's on Twitter and Instagram at Goat versus Fish. And then you can go follow the STS Guys. We're on Instagram at STS Guys. We're on Twitter at STS Guys. We're on Facebook at the STS Guys. And I'm Larry from the STS Guys. Chilling like a villain.
Sorry.
Nate was doing something else. Goat versus Fish. You mentioned you're going to be at LA Comic-Con. I'm looking
Yes,
at
yes.
I'm looking at goatversusfish.com right now, and you
Yes.
have a bunch of appearances in Southern California too. You're going to
Yes.
be at Mom's Bar on October 7th in Santa Monica. You'll be in Santa Clarita at JR's Comedy Club a couple weeks after that. So if anybody's listening is in California, go to goatversusfish.com. There's like a tour schedule, right? You can see exactly what events Goat versus Fish are going to be at. And I'm guessing someone listening is definitely going to be at LA Comic-Con. So go look for him in the crowd and say hello.
Go say hi.
Remember, ones who are listening, remember, beware the false verses. Beware the false verses. There are ones who will tell you, who will try to deceive you and tell you of something that is not goat or fish. There is even one that is calling itself bird versus bear. Ooh, it is calling itself bird versus bear, but it is a false versus. Do not be deceived by bird versus bear. Yes, it will tell you that goat versus fish is not the true versus. It will tell you that it is actually a bird that is versus a bear, but this is the most stupid versus that goat versus fish has ever versed. Yes, look at this one. Look at this one. Can you believe this one calling itself bird versus bear? That is such a fake versus. That is such a fake, false versus. That is nothing like goat versus fish. Bird versus bear. False versus. It is false versus.
False.
That is
Erroneous
not
on all
cool.
accounts.
There is only one Goat versus Fish.
There's only one.
There is only one
There's
goat
only one
versus
versus,
fish.
and it is Goat versus Fish.
It is goat versus fish.
In the beginning, there was Goat versus Fish.
Was it written? Is that the verses? Is that the verses of SDS Guys with goat versus
I
fish?
think
I
we're all,
think
I
it
think
is.
we're
So,
all done,
Jeremy?
man.
Jeremy,
Take us out.
take
dude.
us out.
So, for episode 104 of the STS Guys, I have been Goat.
Hey, it's Fish.
Hey guys, it's been Fish.
And I'm Goat.
And I am goat versus fish. And it was written, and it was written.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Well, that was a fine versus of goat versus fish.